that was another thing I was going to hit on. In America right then, it was the height of the Civil War or civil rights. Martin Luther King was assassinated. Do you remember that stuff as much as the Vietnam War?
Yes, and that, um, I mean, the coverage of his assassination, I mean, the television stations, they really did a tremendous job. But I think that, the bias towards the draft was caused a lot of problems. There's also, some are being excused for, you know, being in college or.
Yeah. What do you think caused more tension in America in 1968? Do you think it was civil rights between whites and blacks, or the Vietnam War between supporters and protesters?
I think more of it was towards the civil rights movement in that time period. That was the early part of the war, 65, and the civil rights movement was a lot stronger at that point. And then the beginning of the war, the protests weren't quite as great, but as it, I'll say, drug on, it just, people, got more and more disgusted with it, and sort of drifted away from the civil rights situation and became more protested more the war itself. But they just seemed like we weren't getting it.
Yeah. How did you feel about the role and action of the U.S. government during the war?
Um, I think they interfered too much with the commanders in the field.
Like the leaders of the army?
Yeah. I think that they, our government just had too much to say and not allow the generals that were, in charge of this war to do what they wanted to do. Where they wanted to go further into Vietnam, and our government, kind of resisted that, and I just think it was really too much interference, and not letting the generals and those who were in the field, do what they're trained to do.
Did you know, I don't know if they covered it back then, the government's main reason for not letting the army go into North Vietnam and not bombing North Vietnam?
No, I don't. I mean, I never really understood, the main reason why they didn't allow that.
The big thing was they didn't want to hang with China, and so once North Vietnam figured that out, they moved all the bases to that border, and then that kind of put the U.S. behind the eight ball.
Yeah, I mean, they're building up their army, where we couldn't attack them. And then, it came time for the Tet Offensive, we didn't have much experience.
What president do you contribute to war most to?
We have to finish. I guess Johnson, LBJ was, I think, he, continued to push, for us to stay there and withdraw. I would say Johnson.
Do you remember the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution at all, and the effect of that?
No.
It was give them all the money to go into Vietnam and all that. going into Nixon made campaign promises to pull out of Vietnam. Do you remember those?
Yes.
And then, do you remember any loss in confidence in him when he didn't keep those promises?
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, I say, I think, the government, was making these decisions. Well, they're not military men, so how do they know they can pull out? That, you know, at that point. So, I think that the American people, they lost a lot of confidence in our government and, and our president because they just, uh, weren't, I can't say truthful about what they were going to do or what they were doing, but I think, and they made promises that they couldn't keep.
Well, going along that truthfulness, when the media came out with stories about the secret bombings in Cambodia, do you remember those days?
Yeah.
What do you think? I contribute to loss in confidence in the war could be contribute to a loss of confidence in Nixon's presidency.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the American people just, were so tired of this war and the casualties and, and we weren't getting anywhere. And I think they just lost confidence in the president and our government. Not necessarily the commanders in the field or the troops, but just in our government.
Yeah. So more of the war in your life. In what ways did the war influence you? Like the ways wasn't that all?
No, really didn't change because we weren't really, we didn't have anybody that was involved in it. Nothing like other wars where we had rationing and it really didn't change much. And, a lot of people, refused to pay their taxes, which that doesn't really do much. But,
How do you feel about the war now as compared to then?
no, it really hasn't changed. I mean, I just think that, uh, really wasn't worthwhile. I think back to, the French tried to do it and they didn't succeed. And, and whether the people were better off under communism, who knows? I mean, they're a fairly successful country today. It cost us a lot in lives and money, and my opinion really hasn't changed. I don't think it was really worth it. It wasn't really justified to be there. I mean, we say, to stem communism. Well, we didn't accomplish it. It cost us a lot in the way of, lives and money. My opinion is still the same. I don't think we should have been there.
How did you feel when the war ended?
I felt that it was good, that it was over, and we weren't going to lose any more lives. I guess somewhat disappointed we didn't really accomplish it. And, it was all said and done. It didn't really stop communism as far as the country is concerned. And we did, they said it cost a lot, their lives and money.
Is there one thought about your wartime experiences that you want to share with future generations?
Well, I think what I would, I think what I would like to tell future generations that become involved in, in the, in the senior in the country. Make sure that you that you vote. You know, be well aware of what's going on. And I mean, right now we're involved in the same thing in Iraq and Afghanistan. So, it's another losing cause. That's, I think you just become too involved in other countries. I'm going to say politics, but we can't possibly police the world. And I think, just right now we don't have it there, but I think young people need to be aware of the decisions that are being made and the people that are making them. And when you, as I said, when you vote, think about the people that you're voting for.
It was funny. I actually wrote down that some people have said that Iraq is Bush's Vietnam. You see similarities between the two wars?
Yes, because it's basically the same problem that we had in Vietnam. You really didn't know who the enemy was. And you got the same situation in Iraq and in Afghanistan. I mean, they don't really wear uniforms, some of them. And these people that blow themselves up. It's very simple. And we're not, well, we made some gains in Iraq. So, and again, the Russians didn't do it. They weren't able to do it. It's very similar.
Is there anything that you'd like to add on the subject?
I think that I think more about because I think back to the Korean War, which was very similar. And we didn't really accomplish a whole lot there. We did save South Korea, but we lost a lot of lives again. I think that you can, comparing what they said was to stem communism. That was the purpose of Vietnam. I think now we're trying to stem terrorism using the same approach in these countries. I think that we have to do it, but in the long run, I think we have to be very careful how many countries decide to do it.
That's all I have for you. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Hope you get it in.